There are 4 behaviors that undermine and destroy almost all relationships. So if you're in a relationship, you need to know about these because they're all behaviors that are quite normal on some level and that most of us engage in unless we're aware of them. Do you feel like your partner is always criticizing everything you say and do? Like you just can't do anything right? Or that they fundamentally don't respect you anymore? Or maybe you've lost respect for your partner? Or maybe they constantly have expectations to your behavior and no matter what you do, it's just never good enough. That they're just being completely unreasonable. If you answer yes to any of these, your relationship is at high risk. According to research by John Gottman, we can predict whether a relationship lasts just by listening to the way couples talk with each other. That's what he did in a large study, and the accuracy was apparently over 90%. That is, if he found couples engaged in one or more of these behaviors, the odds of them being together a few years down the road were less than 10%. So here are the 4 horsemen. Criticism. This is when a partner attacks your character or generalizes your behavior instead of focusing on the specific things that happened or that you said. You never think of anyone but yourself. Could be an example. Or even something as innocent sounding as, "You're so clumsy." Now, that last one doesn't sound aggressive per se, but it is in fact a negative generalization about you. So this is criticism that doesn't pertain to something specific that happened or how the person feels, but is rather a critique of you as a person. So it's the generalization that's the problem here. The second one is contempt, and this can take many different forms, and it is also the most damaging of the 4 horsemen. So it could be sarcasm or mockery or eye rolling or just like treating your partner with general disrespect. So it could be something like saying in front of others, "This is why I don't let him plan anything anymore." If the dinner you just made for the guests turned out a little too crisp. Or if you ask for affection or take initiative to a hug and they go, "You're so needy. Can you just relax?" But in my experience, it's more often nonverbal. This is something couples pick up on because they know each other very well, but it can be quite subtle. Like if you say something and your partner has a delayed reaction, or maybe they turn around and don't answer you, but you can tell something's off. Could also be you have a disagreement, they don't say anything, they just smirk and shake their head. Or they stare at the ceiling while you talk, tapping their foot, looking away, like signaling, "This is beneath me." Maybe others don't see this, but you certainly can because you know your partner. The third one is defensiveness. Defensiveness is responding to feedback or any kind of information really, but what they do is they come up with excuses, they deny any responsibility, and they shift the blame. "Well, it was your idea to go to the party in the first place. Well, how do you expect me to react when I already know what you're gonna say? Are you serious? You literally did the same thing last year." Or it can even be sometimes just flat out denying that something happened that obviously did happen. Or describing it like they witnessed something happening when in fact they caused it to happen. The fourth one is called stonewalling. This can be emotionally shutting down, going silent, or just disengaging during a conflict, for instance. So it's typically a stress response. So on some level it seems a little less malicious than the other 3 horsemen, but it can actually still be damaging. So we typically withdraw from a situation to protect ourselves because we know that if we stay, we will be subjected to either criticism, contempt, or defensiveness. So on some level, it is fair to see this as a defense mechanism, but it can also take the form of the silent treatment. And this is actually a passive-aggressive type of behavior. So this is when a person pretends to be passive by backing out or removing themselves from a conflict. And when you go and ask them, "Hey, can we just talk about what happened a minute ago?" They go, oh, it's fine, never mind. But you know that that's not true, and so do they. And they know that you know that they know. So this can actually be extremely aggressive. Okay, so now that you know about the 4 horsemen of the relationship apocalypse, what do you do with them? Here's how my wife and I go about it. 1, talk to your partner about them and how serious they are for the health of your relationship. And 2, start looking out for them in your daily life. This can be a little bit challenging for the simple reason that it's easier to see the flaws in other people than it is to see them in yourself. So now you sort of have to be careful to not say, hey, you just criticized me, just like the Gottman theory said you can't do. You just pulled a fourth horseman on me. But that's criticizing them, right? And then you risk triggering a reaction that is criticizing you, contemptuous, or being defensive or stonewalling you. But that said, if you are serious about nurturing a relationship, you should have a talk to a partner about these. Just to get in the habit of noticing these feelings and behaviors in yourself and in your partner. I want to just say a few more words on contempt. I think contempt is so excruciatingly damaging for a relationship because it's almost 100% automatic. So on some level, we can control how we criticize others. We can choose to not say a sarcastic remark. But we cannot really control how we feel about someone who's saying or doing something right in front of us. So that's why it's often nonverbal and why it's just an automatic emotional response. And contempt means that you despise someone, at least for the time being. And that also means that you feel superior to them. And let's just be real here. You cannot build a relationship on the foundation that is that you feel superior to them. Who would want to be in a relationship with someone they feel is inferior? So if your partner frequently displays signs of contempt, or if you catch yourself having feelings of contempt for them, you need to address this sooner rather than later. You simply can't be in a relationship with someone you hold contempt for. It's a primal reaction closely related to disgust. And the reason we have disgust reactions is that they do one hell of a job keeping us alive. So now we're dealing with a scenario where one person's biology is pitting them against the other person. I just want to take a second to invite you to join the Heart Love Theory community. This is a place where A, we take love and relationship seriously, and B, we don't shy away from the uncomfortable, sometimes even controversial truths, facts about men and women and their dynamics. The tone is very civil though, so if this sounds like you, there's a link for that below, and I'll see you there. All of these behaviors, the Four Horsemen, can be seen as defense mechanisms on some level, which isn't intuitive at all because they seem aggressive. But there can be very good reasons why you experience these defense mechanisms. For example, if you're in a relationship with a very toxic person, you can be displaying all 4 of these behaviors, but that doesn't make you the toxic person. You can check my video, What is a Toxic Person, if you want to learn how to identify them. So it's not necessarily the case that the person who engages in these behaviors is in the wrong. In fact, quite often it might be the other way around. But it still remains a fact that they are toxic and damaging to a relationship. At the very least, they must be viewed as a symptom that something is wrong. So if any of the Four Horsemen is a stable component in your relationship, you need to address that and attack them. Finally, I just want to remind you that these behaviors are not unusual. Honestly, my wife and I have caught ourselves and each other mid-horseman behavior many times. So what we do is we address it immediately and we course correct. If you found this useful, please subscribe for more videos about how to build strong relationships. Until next time, thanks for listening. Have a good one. Cheers.